Hey everybody! Welcome to the True Crime Squad. I'm Christy Brower. I'm here with my sister, co-host, and partner in crime, Katie Weaver.
We are
Hey
flummoxed.
Katie. How you doing?
We're flummoxed. We're disheveled. We're gobsmacked. Uh, we don't
We've
know what to say right now about the Robert Tellis
we have
trial
been
because,
so
or
heavily
is,
mansplained
we,
that we
yeah,
don't even know our names anymore.
no,
I don't know. So we're
yeah.
gonna get to all of that. But holy shit, what a day!
You
First
know,
of all,
oh,
oh,
I was
I was
just
just
gonna
gonna
say, I'll
say
just,
I was just gonna say thanks for all the love about my eye.
yes.
Uh, Weirdly, I had some little rock thing stuck on the inside of my eyelid of my left eye. I tried and tried and tried for an hour to get it out. Finally gave up. Rhonda took me to community care, where they numbed my eye and then they took a Q-tip up there and they got the little thing out and then it was over. But it felt like such a friggin' emergency. And my eye is scratched and I'm on antibiotics and blah, 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 all that jazz. But holy crap. I mean,
hmm
I've gotten things in my eye before, but um, you usually can just get it out, right? Just
I
me?
guess not when it's hiding that deep.
Oh my gosh. It was like stuck to my eyelid.
Mm,
And no matter, I tried and tried and tried to get like, eye drops up in there to like float it out, right?
yeah,
No,
nothing.
was not happening. So
Well, when you have
anyway,
something in your eye like that, it feels like an emergency. It is an emergency, but I
it
mean,
is
it
an
feels
emergency. I
like,
think your body
yeah,
is like, holy shit, you could lose your vision.
right. Get
So
this out
you
of here right
better
now.
go take care of this. Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you know that your cornea is like super prone to infection? And so if you get a scratch in your eye, you need antibiotics because, that could take your vision.
Yeah. And nobody
Crazy.
wants that.
No. But
If you have to start coming
anyway,
on this show with a pirate patch, well, that's fine. It would
I
be
know.
fine.
I'm so glad, honestly, yes, they did put the yellow drops in my eye and made me look at a, black light thing. And I did have
Mhm.
some scratching. So yeah.
Mhm.
So now I'm on the eye drops. And I'm okay. It just was
Mhm.
like, although I'm really glad I didn't have to go on the show after that doctor, because I was at the doctor during the show, but I looked like I had been in a fight. And my eye was so swollen and red, and I could
Yeah.
barely open it. It was just weird. Um,
Yeah. Boo.
it's a lot better. Your eyes heal really fast. It's a lot better today. It actually
They
only
do.
hurts when I put the antibiotic in. Then I can really
Mhm.
feel where it's scratched because like it hurts. Um, But and having a numb eyeball, an eyelid, like that is super weird too. When it was all numb, that was very strange.
Yeah. Did they numb it with
Very
drops,
strange
I'm
feeling.
assuming?
And
Yeah.
the doctor's like, I said, oh yeah, please, please, it's stinging really bad. It hurts so bad. And he's like, well, so does this, just for a second, and then it's better. Oh my god, you
Mm.
guys, it hurts so
Oh,
bad.
yeah. Oh, yeah. Have
Ugh.
you ever had him give you the lidocaine shot to put an IV in?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I'm like, "Don't do
I
that.
would
Just
take
put
the
the
IV over
IV in."
that.
Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
want that. Yeah. Holy moly. Well, I had
There was
told
no
Scott
way I was
that
going to be
they
able to get a. Oh, go ahead.
I told Scott that they'd numbed your eye to, so they could poke around in there and figure it out. And he was like,
Hmm.
"Oh my god, that would be horrible." And I'm like, "Well, I think it's eye drops, not a shot." And he was like, "Oh, okay, good."
He's thinking like injection right in the middle of the eye.
You know how
No.
like when the dentist does it and they wiggle it and talk to you?
Ugh. Yeah, I do.
Yeah,
And I
sorry,
hate
sorry
it.
about that. Well, I'm glad you're better. Anyway. Mhm.
Well, me too. Kat says, I had to have the pirate patch, and you could totally rock that look. Oh, I
I
would.
could.
I'd get one all blinged out. I don't
Mhm.
know, though. That would be really hard with my glasses. I don't know. Maybe I don't know. I don't know what I would do. It doesn't really matter because that is not why we are here. Friends, we don't really have other updates. This is all going to be Robert Tellis. But let me tell you something. Even if you have not been following this case, you are in for a good time today because some
Yes.
bullshit is going down in Las Vegas. Let me
Oh
just
my.
say,
Why aren't more people following this case? I've been saying it all
I
along, but
don't
again today
know.
I'm like, this is gold. Oh
It
my
is
gosh.
comedy gold, insanity gold. Um, let's just remind everyone who we are discussing
Yeah.
today. This man, Megamind, Boss Baby,
Mm-hmm.
Conehead, whatever you want to call him,
Mm-hmm.
Robert Tellis. So Robert Tellis is charged, well, is on trial right now for the murder of Jeff Gehrman. And Jeff Gehrman was an investigative reporter in Las Vegas, a well loved and respected man, this guy right here.
Mm-hmm.
He did some expose articles on Robert Tellis, and what a dick he is. Brings totally new meaning to the word dickhead. Look at that dome. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and he was so Tellis was a politician. He was the city administrator of estates, and
Yeah.
because of these expose articles, somebody beat him out of his job in the primary election. Actually, one of his coworkers
Mm-hmm.
did that, so he lost his job. It was in June of 2022, and then Jeff Gehrman was murdered on September 2nd of 2022. Um, and the police believe it is by old boss baby
Mm-hmm.
Megamind right here.
One of our listeners in the chat earlier said that this is what he reminds her of. Remember those Woolly Willy
Yes,
toys that yeah,
yes,
I think
very
so
much so.
exactly. I almost had to
Mm-hmm.
just order one and make one because that looks just like him. Only the face is a little too red. It needs to be much more pale, but
Yes, and I'm sorry, but that forehead has got to be about twice as tall.
twice as tall. Yeah, yeah.
This guy has the biggest head and the longest, weirdest, creepiest fingers. I will show you.
Hmm.
May
Yes.
notice on one of his fingers, he has a
What the
Yeah.
hell? Those fingers can wrap around everything twice.
Hmm.
Anyway, I digress. So that's what we have been doing, covering this trial,
Hmm.
because we think it's very important that when reporters get murdered by their subjects, we need to know about it. By politicians, we need to
Hmm.
be aware of it. It is a big deal.
Hmm.
This has also been a completely bonkers trial. So the defense started their case yesterday, kinda.
Yeah.
They had two. When we talked about two witnesses, we talked about them yesterday. So then we get to today. And remember, prosecution has there's DNA, there's uh all kinds of camera footage. The actual crime is filmed. The
Hmm.
clothing the person was wearing when they were filmed murdering Jeff Gehrman was found in Robert Tellis's house. Jeff Gehrman had
Chopped
Robert
up with
Tellis's
sewing scissors.
DNA chopped
Yeah.
up with the sewing scissors.
Hmm.
Jeff Gehrman had Robert Tellis's DNA under his fingernails. Okay,
Robert
they
Tellis
have
had been threatening Jeff Gehrman.
yes, yeah. I mean, the list of evidence they have is long.
Hmm.
Of course, definitively with that DNA under his
Yeah,
fingernails, because what
that's
the hell,
huge.
man? So they've rested their case because they have a mountain of evidence against this
Hmm.
guy. So now the defense is putting on a case, which of course is their job. And it is not their responsibility to prove innocence, it is their job to try to create reasonable doubt.
Hmm.
That's one thing we always have to remember with defense cases in criminal trials is that they're just throwing spaghetti at the wall.
Hmm.
Like, hey, what about this? Do you think that Compass Realty set him up?
Hmm.
Do you
Piles,
think that
piles of
Detective
spaghetti.
yeah, Detective Gehrman, how about or no, I mean Jappa.
Yeah.
How about Jabba? Did he set him up? I don't know. Did Santa Claus do it? At this point, they're pretty much that's what they're doing.
He might be on the chopping block next. It's hard to say.
It is entirely hard to say. Yes. So that's kind of where we're at up to this point. Um, it, we do have to discuss the eyebrows, just so you're all aware.
Hmm.
Robert Tellis's eyebrows seem to be like able to sense any movement in his thoughts at all. Like his eyebrows, and I've had Botox because of my migraines. I can't do it. Katie, can you hold your eyebrows up really high?
I can try. I
He looks
mean,
like this all the
I can't
time.
wrinkle my whole head the way he does to get those
I
eyebrows as
know.
high as he goes.
Yeah. Yes, you're right, Natasha. He is the creepy Elmer Fudd
Hmm.
with alien fingers. His fingers are so creepy. Anyway, so we're watching, this guy. As usual, we're making fun of him because he is so
This
fucking weird.
guy, yes.
I don't even know what to call him anymore. Okay, so here's what they presented today. They started with Robert Aguero, and he is a cell phone data expert. So he has the Cellbrite report that was run on Robert Tellis's cell phone, and he gives us a whole lot of blah 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 about location, and where Tellis's phone was located. And there's a whole lot of stuff about Tellis's phone being located,
Hmm.
pinging off some pinging, binging. I've heard it both ways. Uh,
It
off
was
cell
binging, I'm pretty
towers,
sure. Yeah.
I'm sure. Off cell towers around this Planet Fitness. It's a lot of nothing, really. And then we kind of find out that it turns out Robert Tellis has been turning off the location on his phone. I mean, it's pretty clear that he's been turning off location on his phone throughout the last year of 2022. There were a lot of times in which there were no location services on his phone. Um, he talked about how there if there were pictures taken on his phone, they didn't have the location on. And two things are going on here. One is Robert Tellis had an affair with one of his subordinates.
Hmm.
And that was part of the expose from Jeff Garriman. And
Hmm.
so I'm sure some of the turning off of the location and not tagging pictures and stuff like
Right.
that was a fair.
Hmm.
But the whole month of August of 2022, the month leading up to Robert Garriman's murder, his phone, Tellus's phone location off the
Hmm.
entire month of August.
Hmm.
I mean, right? Does that sound right, Fran? Does that sound familiar? Have we heard this before, Chad Daybell?
Who
But
did
yeah,
that? Who would do that?
yeah. So he's got, so this guy is confirming that, but then he turns it back on September 1st.
Hmm.
Um, for I don't know why, but then we learn that the phone is pinging at his house, or maybe at Planet Fitness. I don't know. It got this part of the testimony got confusing and really repetitive, and the
And never
prosecutor and
really
the
seemed to
defense
come to a
attorney
point.
went back and forth. But
Hmm.
basically, his phone sat from like 8 o'clock in the morning until 2 o'clock in the afternoon, somewhere, not moving, and receiving lots of phone calls and messages and texts. And he wasn't answering any of the phone calls, and he wasn't responding to any of the messages. That's not sketchy at all, right?
Is that like a phone that's like not on your person? Uh,
Might be sitting on your desk at home.
Perhaps not with you at all?
Yeah. So it was pretty vague stuff. Um, the prosecutor, I think, got way in the weeds on this and went too far into it than needed to be. The
Hmm.
bottom line is he's been turning off his stuff. He's been turning off his location. So we don't know if he was stalking Garriman up to this point, right? We
Right.
do know that he had taken a lot of pictures of his property and used
Mhm.
stuff at work to find out where he lived. But his location was turned off in August, so we don't know what he was doing.
Mm-hmm.
Then when it was turned back on, during the time that poor Jeff Gehrman was being stabbed to death, no one was responding to anything on his phone.
Mm-hmm.
They did go back and look at some other days of Gehrman's phone to
Mm-hmm.
discover that he actually seems to text right back. He answers his calls. So it was a pattern of it showed a change in his pattern of behavior. I don't think that they emphasized that nearly well enough with the jury, but what they were showing is normally he's a guy that answers his phone. He's a guy that
Mm-hmm.
texts right back, like that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
There was a lot said about that most of those calls and texts were just spam anyway. But that was pretty much just made up by the defense attorney. I don't think they ever caught
Mm-hmm.
to any actual proof of that. And it is a weird thing. You think about your own phone in 6 hours, how many times during the day, like on a weekday? No,
Mm-hmm.
this was a Saturday. This would be a Saturday. So, how many times does your phone go off on the weekends? Probably a lot of times.
Me
People
personally,
texting
a
you.
lot, but yeah,
Right, yeah. He's got children, unfortunately, and a wife.
Mhm.
There are people trying to reach out. But yeah, I mean, he was stalking Jeff before this. It was pretty clear that he
Mhm.
was, because this was very specifically, the murder itself was quite planned out. The way he got
Mhm.
Jeff to come outside to the side of the house, and he was all
Mhm.
ready to use his alien fingers to stab him and all that stuff.
Mhm.
Okay, so we kind of get through all that, and everyone, I think, is like, oh my God, what even was that? It went on forever. Way, way too long. A
Way
weird
too long.
thing, don't you think
Yeah.
it's weird how in this trial, they just the prosecutor and the defense attorney, they just bounce back and forth without the judge's permission.
Yeah.
Isn't that
Yeah.
strange?
Well,
Like
for every other
normally there's
hearing I've
some
ever seen. Yeah.
yeah, like they need some justification for why they need to recross for the fifth time.
Mhm.
And usually judges start shutting that shit down because it can go on forever.
Right.
Not this judge, man. It just does go on forever. It's really weird. And they don't turn the witness back over to the judge and then the judge says, "Okay, you can, you know,
Right.
cross-examine the witness or whatever."
Mhm.
They just say, "Pass the witness."
Mhm.
I don't know. This is
So
so
the other
different
one
than
hops up
than our
there
courts
and
here, definitely.
yeah, it's
And then they do it,
bananas.
but then they just sort of go back and forth on their own, and the judge just kind of watches. Like she
Mhm.
hardly intervenes at all. Well, till this afternoon, we'll get there.
Let's
So
do
then
that.
we get, so then we get Terrence Jameson. He's the general manager at Planet Fitness on West Charleston,
Mhm.
in Las Vegas. And apparently, on the day of Jeff Gehrman's murder, Tellis checks into the gym at 12:09 p.m.
Mhm.
Now, it took like 20 minutes to just say that sentence
Mhm.
because of all the lead up. But basically, he or someone scanned his key fob or QR code on his phone to get into that gym. Now, we happen to have a Planet Fitness here. I have had a membership before, and Rhonda has a
Mhm.
membership right now. When you walk up to the scanner thing, there is a computer there
Mhm.
and there's a scan. You do the scan thing yourself. And
Yeah.
then on the computer, it's supposed to bring up like your face so they know it's you coming in. But that's only if an employee is standing in front of that computer, and they frequently are not. They are helping someone else with something else. And so we don't know if it was actually Telus who checked in there or not. The other part of that is we don't know if he just walked in, scanned his bob, and then walked right back out again. There's
Mhm.
no surveillance video available of him being there. Um, and there's no indication, like they only scan you in, they don't scan you out.
Right.
So, um, like it's a
It
nothing
doesn't mean
burger,
much.
really.
Yeah.
It really doesn't because it
Well,
doesn't.
especially with no video. No
Yeah,
video.
we don't know who scanned that key fob,
Mhm.
and even if it was him, did he just scan it and then walk back out the door
Right.
to give himself an alibi? Like, there's no proof that he spent any amount of time there.
Right.
So that was kind of a nothing burger also. You know, can it give the jury doubt? I hope not. I hope they can see through the fact that this doesn't mean um that he didn't do it, you know?
But don't
So
you
there
wish
was
there
a
was a little
jury.
bit more info there? Like, I would have liked to have known, does
Yeah.
he typically work out at this one? Or is he usually at
Right.
the Charleston one? Like, how often is he checked into this one?
Well,
How
they
often
made
is
a
he checked
big
into the gym in general?
yeah. They made a big deal out of that this is basically not his home gym where he signed up.
Yeah,
So, but we never got any further with, okay, well, where is his home gym? And does
right.
he usually go to that one? And what's the history? We did not get that.
We didn't hear any of
I
those things.
think that the prosecutor really felt like this didn't matter. Um,
Mhm.
and this was an attempt at the defense to bring in some out. I mean, both things can be true. He
Right,
scanned in there and he killed Jeff Garman. It can both be true.
right.
There was a juror question. So in this court, jurors are allowed to write questions, and then the judge asks them of the witness.
Or
And it
sometimes
was
lets the
one.
juror, yesterday, she allowed a juror to ask a question directly too.
Yeah,
So
it's very
that
interesting.
some of both of those things are happening. Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty cool, honestly. I think every court
Mhm.
ought to allow that. The question was, does your gym location have cameras in the check-in area, and has that been requested by authorities? The answer is yes, there are cameras. He didn't seem to be able to answer the question about whether or not it had ever been requested by authorities. He said it overwrites itself over time and that it would not still be available now.
Mhm.
But I didn't feel we ever got a clear answer about did anyone ever request that back around the time of the murder.
Right.
So we just don't know.
Right.
Right, Bethy, did he just get his membership recently? Yeah,
Right.
yeah. So it was, I don't know, throwing spaghetti at a wall.
Mhm.
So then, let's see. Oh,
Yeah,
I
we're a little out of
missed,
order.
I'm out of order. I'm sorry. So then we get, I don't know I don't know what I want to call her. I don't want to call her anything
Ask Kissy
other than
McSmoocherson.
Ask Kissy McSmoosherson. Sure. This was okay. Yeah. So this is a witness that was a coworker.
Mhm.
I cannot remember her name and I cannot find her name.
I
Anyway,
can tell you. Keep going.
okay. She worked with Jeff Garman. She already worked in the administrative estate's office prior to Garman. Then he came in and they had worked together for a while. She was basically in there in the defense role to refute what other coworkers had said, which was that Robert Tellis is an asshole and he's
Mhm.
mean and he created a lot of division in the office and he played favorites and he was really difficult to work for.
Mhm.
Okay, that was basically, and she came in to say that Robert Tellis was just a regular guy. He didn't ever get mad at work.
Mhm.
And she never saw him angry after the articles written about him from Jeff Garman, even though Tellis's own little smoochy smooch on the side said he told me he hated Jeff Garman. But
Mhm.
this chick is sitting there just lying her ass off.
Oh yeah.
She is the Karen of every office. The more I listened to her, I was like, oh, I get
Mhm.
it. Yeah. She said that she was asked to pick sides at the public administrator's office. Basically, Robert Tellis or everyone else, pretty much.
Listen, the reason we don't know that bee's name is because she's in witness protection. That's why her face
Oh,
wasn't shown, and
oh,
that's
is
why
that
her
the
name
deal?
was not shared. Yep. I did
What
not know
in the
that. I'm
hell?
just hunting her name down right now
Witness
and discovered why we didn't get
protection?
to see her in court.
It's got to be for something. Not, it's not this case.
Uh,
Why would it? This? Fuck, I don't know. Anyway, yeah, they didn't show her face. Well, that's why I was like, man, I can't even remember them saying her name. That's because they didn't.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. But she just kissed his ass. It was weird. At one point, the defense attorney showed her a video of Robert Tellis walking, or no, not Robert Tellis walking. Well, yeah, Robert Tellis walking, but the video of the suspect walking, asking if she recognized his gait,
Mm-hmm.
because we had a realtor testify last week with the prosecution that
Mm-hmm.
as soon as he saw the video of the suspect walking, video of him on a surveillance video, he was
Mm-hmm.
like, "That's Rob Tellis,"
Mm-hmm.
and told his business partner, "That's
Mm-hmm.
Rob Tellis." So that was wild.
Mm-hmm.
That was very wild. But they were basically saying, well, so that one guy thought it was him, but this girl doesn't think it was him, except
Mm-hmm.
when we got a warrant because people thought it was him, and we went and we found all of the evidence of the whole fucking murder in his house. I mean, I just don't really think the gate thing is that important.
Definitely. Also, because this is just my opinion, and maybe I'm biased, but she didn't feel very credible to me at all in general.
No. She felt like Rhonda was watching with me, and she's like, it's like she's read something and memorized it, and now she's saying it back. She
And
seemed very
also that
coached.
she was trying to show up like, see, Rob, I'm one of the good ones. See, Rob, I'm your friend. See, Rob.
Why do these women like this guy?
Mm-hmm.
Please, may I remind you, this right here.
Focusing on his family. The surveillance that's being.
And also,
They notice on one of his fingers.
they all like him. I don't know why. I don't know. I'm also a lesbian, so what do I know about these things?
Well, a few thoughts. First of
Okay.
all, dude had 3 really nice cars. He had a Tesla, a Beamer, and that brand new Yukon XL that he was rocking. I mean, that was easily a $60,000 to $80,000 vehicle alone,
Hmm.
besides the
Oh,
Tesla,
yeah.
the Beamer. He owned 6 homes, 6 properties. Uh, money. He also played favorites in his office, so I'm guessing that if he zoned in on somebody that he had a thing for, he probably love bombed the hell out of them and gave them a lot of perks and privileges. A few thoughts I had. Yeah.
Yeah. And that is true, Bethy, and that was a thought that I had too. She said his gait is important enough to have Tellis already on the stand before cameras rolling and jurors arrived.
Mm-hmm.
Because we all would have been looking.
Mm-hmm.
Because after Secret Office Karen, who do we get on the stand? Boss Baby himself.
The other office Karen. Yeah.
Okay. So this is insane. But what they did is that the defense or the prosecutor stipulated to this, and I think it was probably wise because let dumbasses talk because they just
Mm-hmm.
get dumber. Rather than like a question and answer back and forth with his attorney,
Mm-hmm.
they have given him permission to give a narrative,
Mm-hmm.
which is pretty much just him sitting up there talking out his ass to the jury.
Mm-hmm.
And
100% talking out his ass. Yeah.
now I want us all to just think for a moment. If we were on trial for murder and we were innocent and we decided to get on the stand to defend ourselves, would we, A, get on the stand, say how sorry we are that this person died, that I am 100% innocent, and here is exactly where I was and what I was doing on the day this person was killed, and this is why I am not guilty?
Mm-hmm.
Or B, would you get on the stand and tell your whole fucking life story like you are some kind of superhero and savior of all people who have died and left their houses without anyone to take care of them, and bitch about your coworkers and the police
Mm-hmm.
for what felt like 150 years and isn't even over yet? A
Right.
or B?
He was on the stand for
What
1
would
week.
you pick?
I mean, I'm thinking I'm going to go A, but holy McBeerson, that's what he did. My God.
It
Oh,
is the craziest shit I have ever seen in my life.
I'm amazed this has been allowed to go on.
I,
Well,
I am
the state
too.
had enough partway through, man. The state had it.
Yeah. Really, this is where we've seen the most objections.
Mhm.
But he started out with, after I graduated from high school, and I
Yeah.
was like, oh no. First of all, the dude has had a lot of jobs and a lot of different jobs.
Mhm.
I wonder why.
Is he hard to
Uh,
work with? And also,
is it
he's very
possible?
smart. Please.
He is
He's
super
very
extra, especially
He made a
smart.
lot of points about
He,
his education and his analytical brain and
well, at one point he said some community college, and then he goes, "Oh, I'm sorry, I'm not supposed to name drop." And I was like,
it
"I'm
was
pretty sure you
CSI.
didn't."
It was the College of Southern Idaho, which is in Twin Falls.
It was? Well, I
Yeah.
thought it was Nevada something.
Not the first one. When he said, "Oh,
It was
sorry, I'm not supposed to name drop," then he went to something else.
it was so weird. I was like, I still don't think you did.
Mhm.
Yes, well, here's the thing. Robert Tellis is an attorney. He is not a trial attorney. He has only ever done like probate law and real estate and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But the way that he behaved on the stand, he definitely sees himself as an equal of superior intelligence to the judge and all of the other attorneys, including his own.
Mhm.
The way that he spoke to the judge fucking blew my mind.
Mhm. Well, he
And
hates
the
her.
way he,
He has
oh
tried to
yeah,
have her removed from his case twice for extreme prejudice. Yeah.
yeah, right. Jennifer, Robert Tellis doesn't seem to understand what it means when an objection is sustained. Exactly. If there was an objection made, he would try to talk right through it.
Mhm.
And then when the
No,
judge
you'd look
would,
at the judge and say, "What? But I thought that this is how the
what
law
I
is." Yeah.
yeah, what I'm trying to do here, maybe you don't understand. He
Mhm.
kept saying shit like that. She finally had to, rein him in a fair amount. But
Mhm.
guys, he's literally trying to bring in exhibits that are like a video from a hearing that he had. Because here's the thing, he comes into the job as the uh, county administrator of estates
Mhm.
and decides that there's all this corruption going on
Mhm.
and he's gonna root it out and save the people, kind of thing. This is the way that he was talking about himself. And he is sure that there's all this fraud going on with this one realty company, particularly Compass Realty, and that some of the people working in that office are colluding and that there's, sneaky money to be made here and stuff. So he eventually starts talking to a police officer, Detective Jeppa, because he investigates like internal city corruption. Buy cameras in your bathroom. We think you're boring too. Goodbye. Um, sorry.
Wow, how
So
incredibly rude. Yes, okay,
yeah.
that's fine.
So at the same time that Jeff Gehrman is doing the investigative reporting on this, Detective Jappa is also investigating this office
Mhm.
and all of this corruption, including Rob Tellis.
Right.
Because Rob Tellis says, I think all these guys are taking kickbacks, blah, blah, blah. Well, they turn around and say, well, guess what? I think Rob Tellis is a part of the blah, blah, blah.
Mhm.
So Jappa there's surveillance on him. He's already being investigated, and so is everyone else in his office, basically, while Jeff Gehrman is doing this reporting. Now, it turns out that in my reading of some of the investigative reporting, Nevada law really sucks when it comes to probate and like wills and houses, property without wills and that kind of stuff. And there were some people that were making some serious money on it because they were doing what was allowed under the law. wasn't necessarily what would be considered ethical under the law, but it
Mhm.
wasn't illegal. And that's what Jappa came back with, is that no one got charged in this situation. He said there were definitely some things happening that were probably not the best, but that they weren't actually illegal. But Tellus has got this whole thing going on where he doesn't know it. He doesn't know he's being investigated. He thinks that Jappa is investigating everyone else because he said to.
Mhm.
So he gets up when he's on the stand, he starts wanting to tell this story from the very beginning of like him coming in to save the day in the office and all these things he did and blah 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 blah.
Mhm.
He's telling the jury all this stuff. He wants to bring in video of a hearing when he doesn't like what somebody said in this hearing. And it turns out to be the woman who beat him in his primary election and is the reason he was no longer the county administrator of, you know, or city administrator or whatever of estates. So he thinks that this is what is relevant to the jury. He's going on and on and on. Specific cases. He even gave the
Mhm.
name of someone who was deceased, who they worked on
Yeah.
this guy's estate. And I was like, what in the hell?
Mhm.
It's insane. He wants this to be about his supposed, finding the corruption in his office and that he's being framed. That's what
Yeah.
he wants this to be about, even
Mhm.
though that's not what this is about at all.
No.
First of all, Detective Jappa did not arrest anyone. There are no
No.
charges against anyone
No.
because he found, shitty practices, but not illegal practices.
Mhm.
But he got on the stand today and said that he believes that he has been framed by Compass Realty
Yep.
and Thomas More.
Yep.
And I'm hoping that
He
Thomas
literally
More
put their
is
names out
just
there.
getting ready for his
Mhm.
defamation lawsuit because are
Mhm.
you freaking kidding me?
Yeah.
Just so you know, there's no evidence whatsoever that Thomas More or Compass Realty had anything to do with the murder of Jeff Garman.
Yeah.
What they had no reason to want Garman dead.
No.
I I mean, they got investigated and some stuff was um it was I mean obviously there have been some issues and if you go read we'll post a link I'll post a link in the show notes for this show so that you can go see
Mhm.
kind of what came of this.
The word
But
salad he was chopping up about these guys
you guys,
and the he never really has not yet has gotten to the how they framed him portion. However,
no.
the word salad he's chopping up about the things that they did that he thought were bad that is so irrelevant to this case is so nuts. There was a
Yeah.
long explanation about a house who had the flooring removed and stuff like that
I
that was
mean,
like, why are you telling us this? I kept thinking the jury has got to be looking at their watches going, my God, when is this going to be over? How is this relevant to this case? Like, why are we even hearing this stuff? He
right.
kept saying, starting on something and going, oh, you know what? I'll tell you more about that later. At one
Yeah.
point, he said, remember this if you can, because it will be relevant later.
He's
Like,
very condescending.
be
He
sure and insult
talks
the jury. Be sure.
really fast and
Hmm.
everything he's doing is wasting their time.
Well, very unfortunately for all of us, and especially the jury, there's a whole lot that he promised that we haven't heard yet. Also, a lot of
Well,
evidence that he couldn't even locate that supposedly we'll have to hear about tomorrow. Evidence he
yes.
was trying to use that the state hadn't even seen and said, we're going to have to review that before this is actually played in court. Is this relevant to anything?
Right. He really had the impression that he was just going to get up there and say whatever he wanted.
Hmm.
And he kept getting in trouble for hearsay and for irrelevant stuff. But it's all irrelevant.
Hmm.
If I'm a juror who's been sitting here listening to and seeing the autopsy photos and hearing about this terrible murder of Jeff Garman, whose body laid on the side of his house for a full day before anybody found him,
Hmm.
And then the defendant gets on the stand to bitch about his coworkers.
Mm-hmm.
I am not impressed.
No.
It's just a colossal raft of bullshit. I can't imagine
He's
that
like the kid
Tellus's
in
attorney
school.
wanted him to do this.
Oh, I'm sure he insisted. Yeah, sure of it.
Yeah.
He's like the kid in school who tattles on you for doing something that's not even against the rules. You know?
Yes, definitely. While he's doing shit that is against the rules.
Mm-hmm.
Like having an affair with one of his subordinates
Mm-hmm.
in the parking garage of their office during
Mm-hmm.
lunch.
There's video,
Gross.
Rob.
There
There's
is
video.
video.
Of you stuffing that little
So,
baloney in somebody. There's video.
baloney? I was thinking more like baby carrot.
Somebody on our Twitter had commented and said that what's her face had been on the stand. He had been caught stuffing his bologna in her at lunch, and I said, unfortunately, said bologna had turned out to only be a Vienna sausage. But yeah,
Very much so. Yes. And yeah, taking the stand was a huge mistake. I mean, most murder suspects don't.
mm-hmm.
I mean, let's think about Alec Murdoch for a minute. He absolutely destroyed his life taking the stand. And that is what this guy is doing too, because all he talks about is himself
Yep.
and how everyone is wrong. And all these people that didn't like him, it's because of them.
Mm-hmm.
Now, listen, Rob, this is a life lesson most of us have figured out as in adulthood, but I'm going to tell you, even though I know you're not listening, if everyone around you is the problem, you're the problem. You
Hi,
are the common
it's
denominator.
You're the problem, it's you. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and he was writing with some weird wax crayon thing.
Okay, is it possible
I
that that's all he's
understand it.
allowed to have?
Maybe it is for
I was
safety
thinking
reasons.
also about the Alec Murdoch trial where there was constant trouble because he kept taking pens and stuffing them in his pockets.
That's right.
He
And
wasn't
not
allowed to
supposed
have
them.
that, right? So it
'Cause
made me
that's
wonder.
Because I'll tell you what, old Rob Tellis does not act like he is a criminal defendant. He does not act like he gets the seriousness of this situation at all.
Mm-hmm.
Guys, you just don't understand. There was corruption in my office.
Mm-hmm.
Listen, dumbass, you're on trial for murder.
Mm-hmm.
No one cares about your coworker problems. You are being tried for the murder of a human being, you dumbass.
Mm-hmm. Whom you
It's
had
so
threatened.
strange.
Whom you had
Yeah,
threatened.
whom you had threatened and most definitely had a reason to kill.
But I can't wait to hear what his justification is for his DNA under Jeff Garman's
I
fingernail.
know.
Can
I'm
we
dying
get
for
there?
this.
Now we know
'Cause
now about why his finger got cut.
Because, guys, he was being a good dad, and he
Super
made his
dad.
daughter chicken fried rice from a Google recipe. And he cut his finger making the chicken fried rice. Let me show you this finger.
Why do you think he said it was a Google recipe? Like, I mean, maybe it was, but like, that's a weird thing to say.
He's lying all the time because he's giving way too much detail.
Yeah.
Way too much detail.
Mm-hmm.
If it were true, he would have just said I was making my daughter lunch. He wouldn't even have said what it was. Why
Right.
do we need to know any of that? But
And
listen, you're
also
going to have to look at his
because
fingers again.
She doesn't eat school lunch. At least she didn't at the time.
Right.
She wouldn't eat school
Yeah.
lunch. So he was just cooking up food for her to take to school for lunch.
Right. But I'm sorry you have to look at his fingers again, but let's look at
They
this.
notice on one of his fingers, he has a Band-Aid. They ask him to remove that Band-Aid, and he has a cut injury on one of his fingers. While detectives are photographing and getting that DNA sample from.
So that's the cut. It looks rough. It looks like it's more than one cut to me. Like, I don't think it's just I sliced myself in the kitchen. He tried to say that he put super glue on his finger. Oh, and the reason that there's blood on those scissors is because he had to cut the top. Again, so much explanation about Well, my super glue sometimes, and this is what he's telling the jury. Sometimes super glue dries in the top of the tip, and then you have to cut it off to get
Mhm.
more super glue out, as though no one on that jury has ever had fucking super glue before. Like the mansplaining stuff was like, yeah, we get it. He said that, I don't know. Let's look at the finger again. He said that his finger looks all weird because it's super glue mixed with blood.
They notice on one of his fingers, he has a Band-Aid. They ask him to remove that Band-Aid, and he has a cut injury on one of his fingers.
So that looks like multiple cuts and a bit and like scabby stuff and like skin that's
Mhm.
like not fully attached to me. That doesn't look like super glue.
Right. That's a cut that to me, I'm with you, Bethy. To me, if that was a cut that, maybe didn't happen while you were doing the murderings, you would have gone to the hospital for. You would have gone to the ER for. He probably actually needed stitches in that finger. That's a bad cut.
Right,
That's
right.
awful.
So I don't believe him. Then at the end, because I don't know, is it ever going to end? Probably not.
No.
He was talking about when he was initially arrested.
Mm-hmm.
So on the 7th of September, they get warrants to search his house, to take him in for questioning, all that stuff, right? And so they do a traffic stop and arrest him. And the way that he describes, you cannot believe the way that they treated him. They arrested him. And then they put him in a police car. And then they took him to the police station. And they said it was only going to be for a little while, but then they towed his car away. And then they made him take off all his clothes.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of where it ended. Was he was going to bitch, and his attorney has already bitched about this,
Mm-hmm.
that they made him take off his pants, even his pants, you guys.
And they kept him. And they kept
Yeah,
him.
they kept him.
Yes.
Right? That's not just a slice, is it?
Mhm.
Is that how you cut your finger when you're stabbing someone? Because when in stabbing, like murders, often the perpetrator stabs themselves too. They cut themselves in the process frequently.
Yeah.
Oh, Journey says, "Yep, I cut the little fingertip off. Went and had 10 stitches." Exactly.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think it looks more like what he did when he killed Jeff Cameron, but that's because I really think he did it. They have alluded that someone planted all of that evidence of those clothes in
Mm-hmm.
his house under the
Yeah.
recliner and in the garage, and also alluding that the DNA is planted.
Yes.
Now, I will tell you, there is no evidence that any of that is true.
No.
Because if there was, this would be a very different trial.
Or that his phone was fucked with and all of those
Yes, they've
pictures of
tried to
Behrman's house.
elude.
Yeah,
They've
where
tried to allude that his Google phone was hacked, not with any evidence of his phone being hacked. And actually, the tech that dealt with his phone, the police officer that did, said there was no evidence at all that phone had been hacked.
and they sure don't have an expert witness claiming that, because if we're ever done with Robert Ellis and this insane story, he's the last witness.
He is.
So they're not bringing an expert witness in to prove that happened, or not that they have to. They can just plant reasonable doubt. But they could bring someone in that could say, yeah, these are holes in the system where that could have happened. But they don't have anyone coming to do
They
that.
don't have it.
No,
It doesn't exist.
no.
None of it exists. They're just making shit up. But I cannot. I am sure. I think that the reason that the prosecutors did not, have a problem with this is because, well, they've heard Rob Tellis talk before.
Mhm.
And they're like, oh, keep talking, dummy. You're
Right.
going to talk
Well,
yourself right into a prison cell.
yeah. Well, at first I thought he was only pro se for like a short time. It was a year and a half. He was pro se for quite a while and was doing a real bad job. And that's when the judge was
Yeah.
like, dude, you have to get an attorney. What are you doing? But no, we haven't gotten there yet. I can't wait for the cross. I just cannot frickin' wait for the
Dying for
cross.
the cross.
Because he
Why
started
was there a
salty
baggie full of
today.
tiny little squares of shoe in your house,
And
Rob
hat.
Tellis? That had the victim's blood on them.
Yeah.
Why did you cut that hat into 12 pieces? Like,
Mhm.
this man is not well.
Why indeed? I cannot wait for that.
They said that, okay, so Tellis was trying to quote Detective Jappa's testimony from the trial,
Mm-hmm.
which he's not allowed to do. And they did some arguing around that when he was talking about that, and the judge basically said, well, I mean, I can let the prosecution bring Jappa back as a rebuttal witness.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know what they're, because see, they can still have rebuttal witnesses, the prosecution.
Mm-hmm.
What's that going to look like? I'm very curious to see if they have any.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, he kept all the evidence. This is the thing. He killed Gehrman on the 2nd of September, and they arrested him and searched his house on the 7th of September. He had time to get rid of all that shit, but he didn't. I don't know why. I wish I knew, other than it was almost like he had this idea that he needed to destroy the, take out his Ginsu knives and cut up his shoes and his hat and stuff. I don't know, to maybe like go throw them in the landfill so that they would be harder to find if they weren't whole. But all that stuff stuffed under the recliner, because remember, he has a wife and 3 children. So is he like secretly cutting up the shoe when no one's around? Like, right, why
What?
keep it? It's weird, but this
Mm-hmm.
dude is weird.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
It makes
Right,
no
Lori.
sense.
Yeah, it doesn't. Yeah, they never found the knife. He did manage to get rid of that. So we don't have a murder weapon, but all the stuff he was wearing, and he was wearing such distinctive things. He seemed to think what he was wearing would make him blend in, but what
Mm-hmm.
it did was make him stand out like
Yeah.
crazy. That orange reflective jacket
Mm-hmm.
and that gigantic hat and those super cheap Nikes. It didn't, I don't know. I think Tellus really thinks he's smarter than everyone in the room.
Yeah.
And if he just explains it,
Mm-hmm. You'll just
he
understand
reminds
it.
me, he reminds me of this. So when I graduated from college as a social worker, I was a domestic violence advocate. And he reminds me of many men that I heard testify in their own trials of domestic violence, where they would get up there and just they were going to have a man-to-man with that judge. Well, Your Honor, I just need to tell you what happened, because I think if you hear what I have to say man-to-man, you're going to understand it. It's like he's doing that, only with the jury.
Mm-hmm.
But I cannot imagine what the jury is thinking of this insanity. Because
Yep.
all he did was sing his own praises, and then, oh, he definitely does have ADD. I don't have any doubt of that.
Oh, yeah.
He jumped all over the place today, but the way that he talked all about himself and about how picked on he is while on trial for the murder of another human being. Who's the victim in this situation? I'm pretty sure it's Jeff Gehrman.
I don't know. I don't know.
It
Rob
is
Tellis
not.
is pretty sure it's him.
It is not. It's not this guy.
Well,
Not the victim.
tomorrow he'll be back on the stand first thing in the morning
Yeah.
to maybe present some of the evidence that he couldn't find today, to maybe present evidence that the state still needed to review first, and maybe they'll fight that, and maybe they won't. I have no idea. I think it's possible that we'll still have him on the stand for a few more hours. Don't you think?
I think it's very possible. I think he's going to
Yeah.
try that. I don't know that he's
Mhm.
going to get everything in, though. Like that video that he wants to show of that hearing
Mhm.
with his coworker. I really doubt the judge is going to let that in. That has
Mhm.
no relevance to this in any way at all.
Well, and that's what the state kept saying. Where is the relevance to any of this?
Yeah.
And I'm sure that the jury was thinking the same thing. This is
By the end,
bananas.
the judge was done with him,
Mhm.
as
He
was
says to the
everyone.
judge towards the end, like it was already past time for the court to be done for the day. He says, "Maybe this is a good time to break." And his attorney's like, "So, excuse me, sorry, judge. Maybe this is a good time to break." And the judge is like, "Yeah, I think it is." Dude, you're not in charge. You are the
No,
defendant.
but
You're
he
not in
thinks he
charge.
is.
Yeah.
He is speaking to all of them not as the defendant, but as an
Mm-mm.
equal, and that is creepy.
Mm-hmm.
It's really creepy. And even at the end, because he's like, I'm not sure how much more time we have.
Yeah.
But then he didn't actually want to break. He said to her, "Oh, but I mean, I just wanted to say a couple more things. I mean, you don't understand, but," and that was it. She was
Yeah.
like, "We're done.
Mm-hmm.
See you tomorrow. Shut up."
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, it's I don't know, man. I cannot imagine that this is having anything but a detrimental effect with the
Mm-hmm.
jury.
Well, it will when the cross starts
Oh my gosh.
because the prosecution doesn't give a flying fuck about all of this stuff. They're going to have
No,
some real pointed questions to hit for him about a lot of other things that are, I don't
they sure
know,
are.
relevant to the case, right? He is crazy unlikable. Yeah.
Oh, he is. You can see why his coworkers like went to an investigative journalist and said,
Mm-hmm.
there is some serious shit going on in our office, and this is an elected official, and you need to know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right, Gran. He has a whole conspiracy in his head that only makes sense to him
Mm-hmm.
because he thinks he's making some point here,
Yeah.
except he is not making any point that is relevant to the charges against him at all.
Yeah.
It is a massive fail. The dude is delusional.
Mm-hmm. Is he
Is he
the
the
male
male
Sarah
Sarah
Boone?
Boone?
Yeah. Yeah.
Kinda. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he kind of is. Wow. It's been very interesting to get to hear him speak because we've
Mm-hmm.
been watching those freaking eyebrows and his bug eyes this whole time and wondering like why what is going on with this person?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think we know now.
Yeah.
He's that guy that thinks that he's smarter than everybody and
Mm-hmm.
actually he's just a dick.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is he still married and his wife in the courtroom? We don't know. We
I
don't know.
don't think his wife is in the courtroom, but we don't always get to see like who all is in there very well.
Mm-hmm.
Um, as far as we know, they are still legally married. She certainly isn't in there, speaking for him.
No. Mm-mm. No, she's definitely
Okay,
not providing an alibi, is she?
no, she's not. But here's the thing, guys. Other than that key fob swipe, there has been no alibi.
Mm-mm.
There's nothing
Mm-mm.
other than that swipe.
Mm-hmm. Is there a song about fingers and eyebrows in the works? Yes. I just wanted to see
Hell
it
yes.
conclude so that we could tell the
Yeah,
whole tale.
we got to tell the whole tale, but yeah,
Mm-hmm.
the eyebrows and the fingers. Oh my God.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and when he's talking to the jury, he keeps holding up those creepy alien fingers. I'm like, dude, you should just keep your hands and fists at all times
Mm-hmm.
because why are your fingers like that? Oh,
Mm-hmm.
so weird.
Shannon said, I say dark triad. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it is Wednesday. It is the third Wednesday of the month, which means that it is time for the watch party. And we thought, considering what's going on right now with Scott Peterson, that we would watch the first episode of American Murder, Lacey Peterson. It is on Netflix. So um, if you are a member of our YouTube channel, you have access to this. We will be back at 7:45 Mountain to start that. So you'll see the live come up, and please come join us. Remember, you watch on your own device. We can't air anything from Netflix online. That would be illegal. But what we have is an open chat, and we're going to chat with you. And we're going to just refresh ourselves on the Lacey Peterson murder and on what all evidence they have against Scott Peterson, as we are facing down the possibility of a new trial for him.
Yeah.
So
It's going to be something. Yeah.
it is. So we're going to hop off from here, and in about 10 minutes, we're going to jump back on that other live stream please
Mhm.
queue up your Netflix, get up the new Lacey Peterson documentary on Netflix, get ready to watch episode 1 with us.
Yeah. Otherwise, we'll be back tomorrow at 11:30 a.m. Mountain time,
Mm-hmm.
to get back to the trial.
We're gonna go
Also,
listen to Boss Baby some more.
Corey Richens is scheduled
Yes.
for her pretrial Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday of next week, and we are intending on streaming that. I have ongoing emails with the court. There is also a hearing tomorrow for Nick Alaverdian. We're trying to get a hold of that as well.
Yep.
So we'll stream as much as we can.
Mm-hmm.
And it may be multiple things at the same time at this rate. But anyway, watch for all of those things incoming.
Yes.
Yeah.
Most definitely.
Yeah.
And you know what? We are the True Crime Squad. Thanks for being here.
Take care.